Hey guys, today is Sunday. Oh God, give me a second. May 26, 2024. Tomorrow, Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to y'all. It's time to do a service on the JD 1050, JD 1050 as I like to call it. We're going to change the oil, the filter, and check all the fluids and hit all the grease fittings, which, by the way, there are a million of. So we have an actual John Deere 1050 oil filter, M801092. My bad, dirt was on it. M801002 for the oil filter. So yeah, we're going to use, this actually came with the tractor when I bought it from the guy that I bought it from. He was a heavy diesel mechanic. He replaced all of the belt, the coolant hoses, the thermostat, the clutch, the brakes. He changed every bit of fluid in the machine. And it's probably about 100 hours, I put on it since I bought it. So I want to change a fluid anyway, the oil that is. I did let this run for about 10 minutes to warm it up so that the oil runs out. I don't know why I keep saying fluid. So that the oil runs out really, really well. The drain pan is on the left side, and it's a three-quarter drain plug size. You don't need a wrench like this. When I had my own shop fixing cars, I took this Mac wrench. Apparently I needed it for something, for what eludes me, but I bent this, heated it up and bent it to make it work for that day. And yeah, if you're into this, follow me along, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. We're going to use, right back, Devlac, mobile Devlac, heavy duty diesel engine oil, 1540. I haven't changed the oil in this yet, and although this is my second one, I never had either of them long enough to change the oil in. But it's, according to the manual, it takes 7 quarts with a filter. I've got, 2.5 gallons. So that's 8. I've got 10 quarts. So we should be good to go. We're going to look at the coolant level and, again, the grease fittings. I've already checked the transmission hydraulic fluid. And since I've done the upgrade on the joystick conversion, I haven't lost any. It's full. I've been in good shape. We're going to check the front axle fluids. And if it needs any, I'm going to have to look in the manual to see what it takes. But yeah, let's get this going. We'll be right back. So looking at the coolant, and I'm not going to lie, I have checked this out several times in the last couple of months just to make sure. If your coolant level is full, that's a happy thing because your head gasket is good. And ours is actually just a touch overfilled, but I did add a little bit to it when I first got this machine from the previous owner. So it's basically right where it was a couple of years ago. Your air filter is here above the battery. I'm going to pop that out, check it out. And I don't have a new one, so worst case scenario, if it needs a little bit of love, I'm just going to blow it out with air and clean it up. I don't think it's a wet bath. As a matter of fact, I can tell by the design it's definitely not a wet bath. So it's a dry air filter, so I should be able to clean it with no issues. So let's get this oil draining and have a look. So here we are lying on the ground under the machine, and this is your 3/4 oil drain. And I'm hoping that the guy that I bought it from was really a heavy duty tech, so I wouldn't expect this to be super tight, and it isn't. I should have rubber gloves on because I work in an office and people frown upon grungy black fingernails. All right, so it's puking out. We're going to let it go, and then we're going to change the oil filter, which is actually very close to the spot where the oil is draining, so I could probably do them both at the same time without spilling anything on the ground. So let's have a look at how tight that oil filter is. All right, so here's the oil filter, and the way that I do oil changes, you don't need a wrench to get them off. So many people think you got to torque these things down like it was a head bolt, but that's not the case. So let's see how good our heavy-duty diesel tech was. All right, this guy knew his shit. So yeah, it's falling right in the pan where the engine oil is draining into. So we're in good shape. And even though it looks black, the oil that is, it probably really didn't need to be changed because there's so little time on it since I bought it. But because of the time, I'm going to change it anyway. And the engine has been running, knock wood, all over the place just fine. So we're not going to roll the dice and hope everything is fine. We're going to do our best to make sure everything actually is fine. So what we're going to do is take a rag, paper towel, and we're going to clean up where the gasket goes. And something you want to double check to make sure. I've seen it before. I worked on cars for a lot of years, and the rubber O-ring, gasket, whatever, will stick to the engine, causes a major leak, and it'll bum you right out. So what we'll do now is we're going to take the new oil filter, dip our finger in some clean oil out of the container that we're going to fill the engine with, wipe it on the gasket, the O-ring, and that's going to keep this from being difficult to remove next time. And if this filter was vertical, I would fill it with oil, but it isn't. So filling it with oil, I'm just going to dump it all out anyway, so I'm not going to bother with that. Once it makes contact, I'm looking for about a turn and a half. Thankfully, with the tractor, you're not zipping down the highway at 800 miles an hour. You can pay attention if you have a leak. And this is going to ensure that it's going to be easy to remove in the future. So it's probably been 5 minutes or so, and we do still have a little bit of oil running out of the pan. And because I'm anal, I'm just going to let it go. So we'll be back. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes. I let the oil run out until it was like a drip every 5 or 10 seconds. And it's not going to get much more drain than that. Put the drain pan bolt back in, tighten it down with my mental torque wrench to probably about 30 foot-pounds. And again, the nice thing about the tractor is the fact that you can look at it and see if you have any leaks or any issues because you're not zipping down the highway. So now we're going to put the oil in, which is probably going to be the funnest part because the angle is just terrible. So now we're going to fill it with oil, and what I should have done was raise the bucket all the way up, put a 2x4 under it to make sure I didn't get crushed, and I would have had a much better angle to fill it with oil because I think I'm going to lose a lot. Thankfully, this is in the driveway. And yeah, this is really just a bad spot. Yeah, I just lost about half of what I was trying to put in there, so that's not going to fly. All right, we might need 2 funnels. Let me figure this out. We'll be right back. All right, let's try the 2 funnel method. I have the wife out cutting the grass so I could work on the tractor, and she really likes that Cub Zero. Speaking of which, I'm probably going to be doing a video soon. Believe it or not, The cub is at almost 100 hours, 98.5 when I gave it to her. So it's probably going to be 100 by the time she's done. So yeah, I'm going to do a 100-hour review, and I'm going to tell you heads up, the results are positive. So we're going to put in about 3/4 of this oil, and then we'll take out the funnels and give it a peek. And before we start it, we're going to leave the fuel off, and we're going to crank it around for 10 or 15 seconds, maybe a bit longer, just to make sure that we have new oil in the filter and we're all filled up and ready to go. All right, guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to leave the fuel all the way off, and we're going to crank this up until the engine oil light goes off. And I really don't think it's going to take too long, because these 1050s really have a good oiling system, and that's part of what makes them so reliable. So we'll flip the key on, the oil light should come on, and it is, and we'll spin it around until that goes out, which is going to tell us we have oil pressure. Yeah, that didn't take long at all. Like I said, these engines really have a good oiling system. So now we're going to start it, and we'll check out the oil level after it's been running for a minute or so. Well, not a minute, a few seconds. More than enough, so we'll shut it down, and then we're going to check our oil and fill it up accordingly. So we are probably about 1/8 of a quart low, so the guesstimation was pretty accurate. So we're going to top this off, and then we're going to get to greasing the 8,912 fittings that are on this. So the oil and filter change is done. The oil is full. After we ran it for a little bit, you know, double check for leaks, nothing. Double check the oil level, topped it off, we're good to go. Now we're going to get into greasing all the fittings. And I should do an Easter egg hunt. It's incredible the amount of fittings on here, but for the most part, anything that pivots, and you want to wipe them off so you don't pump dirt into your Zerk fitting. Strangely enough, there's no grease fittings on this power steering linkage. Oh, there is one down here. See, that's what I mean, they hide them. So there's one on the bottom. Here, nothing. Down here there's one, which you can access through this hole if you have a loader, a JD loader. Really hard to see, but there's one in here on the loader pivot. Comes up from the bottom, so they really thought that out. Have one here that's on top. One down here. It's going to be the same on the other side, I'm sure. But again, anything that pivots, just put your eyeballs on, because there's a very good chance there's going to be a grease fitting. There's one there on the rock rake linkage. Speaking of linkage, if you saw the other videos where I did the joystick conversion, I finally got off my butt and made a handle that basically works. Touches the seat just a little bit right here, but doesn't stop the functionality. Everything does what it should. This is a metric into this particular valve. I believe it was a 10 course. I'm not sure if they call it course and metric, but it wasn't a fine thread. It was whatever their coarse thread version of the US coarse thread is. So I cut the threads into this rod, put a lock nut on it so I could tighten it down against this piece so that it didn't spin around and, you know, get stupid. But yeah, and that's a basic shape. I probably could have taken more time, maybe even painted it green or black. I should have painted it, huh? But anyway, it works fine. I did this a couple of days ago, and we've been good to go. This conversion has been working phenomenally, other than I have a leak right here. And this goes into the valve with an O-ring, and it's leaking at the bottom. So I'm not sure why that is, mismachining the valve, a bad O-ring, but I'm going to have to take that apart. I tried to tighten it down as best I could, but any tighter and it may strip. So we're going to leave that alone until I take it apart and find out if it's a bad O-ring. Hopefully that's all it is. So yeah, another grease fitting up here. And the same thing, you have an access hole. Where is it? There it is. There's probably one, yeah, down here. I would guess that there's one. It's really, really hard to see. But under here, in the loader, it comes up from the bottom. And again, same on the other side. And the chickens are getting stupid. So I'm going to have to lift the bucket and tilt it to get to these two fittings, this one and the one on the other side. Again, this one here. So you want to play a little game. I'm going to look hard and grease every fitting there is. If you know how many fittings there are, leave a comment, and I'll tell you how many fittings I found. But other than that, and you know, this 1050 has a little turbo on it. It's so cute compared to a Cummins, you know, which I deal with on a fairly regular basis, 6.7s. Yeah, this is so cool. But anyway, yeah, let's play the grease fitting game. You guys know this tractor, know this machine, have one, and you decide to play the sleuth hunt. Let me know how many fittings you find. I'll let you know how many I find, and we'll take it from there. So I didn't show you pulling out the air filter. That's kind of cut and dry. But I'm going to do that before I grease it. And speaking of grease, I should have mentioned that I'm old school. And no electric grease guns for me. I've had this one, not even going to lie, it's probably 20 years. And I'm really partial to this lithium grease, doesn't matter what kind. Traveler, Mobile, whatever. The lithium grease is a way to go, in my opinion. Just clean your fittings so you don't push any dirt and debris into your greased area, and you should be good to go. So guys, that's it for today. Enjoying the JD 1050. Going to be doing a lot of garden work with it, and I've got some field work to do, but nothing that's going to make it sweat. Enjoy your day, guys, and we'll talk soon. Take care.